Welcome to the podcast where we speak truth, illuminate power, and fully embody who the fuck we are. This is the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. We are all about spiritual evolution, spiritual growth, talking about the things that may be controversial, even some triggering concepts, but we are all about expansion. Come on in and join us as we reclaim and recenter ourselves in the power of who we really are. We are the Light Warriors, and welcome to the revolution.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 119 of the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast, and I'm doing it. So Rachel and I literally just finished recording today, and it's Wednesday, January 29th. And I knew I needed to get one more episode in before I launched into the guest episodes. And I was telling you guys about this, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. We're going to go all in. I'm going to launch it right away. So I said, Rachel, I'm going to get it out on Friday. And she's like, I'm down. And it actually works out really well. So as you will see in the episode, Rachel and I talk about a live event she has going on in Wisconsin. And if you guys are available and desire to be part of a community of women doing some badass shit in their life and getting what they desire and moving through, this event it's set up for you. So you can go to the landing page. You'll see the details. Let her talk about it in the episode as you move through. But Rachel and I dive into vulnerability, rawness. That's who she is as a person. She's a badass. She didn't come full force in her badassery, but I know her to be a badass in the space of everything. But she is very frank, straight up, right to the point. Let's get her done in the kind of energetics that she holds. And we talk about addiction in this episode. We lean into drug addiction. We lean into smoking. We lean into drinking. We talk about the dimensions of the movement on the earth right now and community and how important it is in our world as we move through. And we dive into some pretty cool things. Rachel and I are part of a coaching group together. So we are both lions. Okay, we'll call us that. And as you guys know, if you've been listening to the podcast for any length of time, you know I'm a rebel. I push boundaries. I speak into it. I move it through. Rachel does the exact same thing in her wheelhouse, in her arena. But it really is about spreading light and love and truth into the world and holding us in this space. And Rachel runs a coaching group called Lighthouse Coaching. So as you can imagine, I obviously love the mechanism of that brand and everything that it represents in the space of it all. And I'm just really grateful to know her. She hates bios, so I'm not going to read a bio out for her in the space of it all. Her social links, like her Instagram, will be in the show notes as well. And yeah, I just want you to put this on your ear and listen in to two girls talking about past experiences, who they used to be, how they've transitioned their life, what like really means something for them now, and why we make choices every day to step up into the space. And it's a beautiful representation of what is possible for all of us. So without further ado, episode 119, Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. Okay, this is going to be so fun. Rachel, welcome.
Hello, good morning.
To the podcast. Welcome to this juicy conversation we're about to have. And for all of you guys listening, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you in advance of what's about to go on. But Rachel's one of those people that when you get to meet her, it's like you either love her or you hate her, you know, because like she would be one of those people that would call you out on your shit and she would mirror it back at you and you would be triggered by her and you could either deal with that and move through it, or you're just going to love her anyways and all the space of it all. So Rachel, let's just start off this conversation with like part of the journey you decide you want to share. Like, we're in a coaching group together. You've been doing this group for a long time. You've been into personal development and changing in your world for a long time, but there's some stuff that transpired in your journey that kind of probably accelerated that and why you chose to kind of change aspects of your life. So I don't know, let's just go there, wherever that leads us.
Sure, let's roll. Thank you so much for having me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Let's see here. Where should we start? I mean, I joined the Lions then, literally by one video. I had no idea who our coach was at the time, and I was like, I need this. At that time, I was a full-time bartender. I had excessive drinking problems. I was a big cigarette smoker. I was just living this life that I should have graduated out of at like 25, but I was still living it at 29, 30. And I was just studying to become an appraiser. And I was like, enough. Like, I'm sick of the chaos. I'm sick of the mess. I mean, there were days where I would come home from bartending and wake up still drunk from the last night.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure you've been there too. You're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is where my journey began. And then through the progress, I left bartending, started a couple businesses, and I just kind of grew into the person I think I was always meant to be.
I love this. So like, if we go back, so we all have stories, you and I were just talking before we hit record about my past lifetime in this life, not past life, about my very manipulating energy and how I had so much low self-esteem that I couldn't understand how someone could love all the parts of me, or that I could express all this out into the world. So instead of owning who I was and being all in there and accepting that about myself, I chose to manipulate people and energy and get what I wanted through manipulation. And it was not something I talk about. We like, there's a lot of shame if you look at this aspect to our world, right? And so you have a similar type of story in the space of your life. And it's like, it shaped us though, it's almost like it brings up some stuff. So would you mind like just kind of diving into that a little bit and telling the audience about what that means for you?
Absolutely. And like I said before, I'm so glad you shared that very sensitive, um, like crevice in your soul, because it is super sensitive, and it is so hard to say that I was a bully, I was a manipulator, I was a shitty person. So like, I just want to shout to the mountains. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh.
And if I would have heard that video 5 years ago, it would have triggered me beyond belief. But instead, I was like, oh my God, like I feel even more connected to you, that your story kind of is similar to mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was always a bully. I was always the loudest in the room. I had to be heard. I would talk so much shit about people behind their back. And then I would realize after I did those things that I was being a bad human, and then I would make excuses for my behavior. And it was always like, I always needed a dustpan because I was always cleaning up my mess. I seriously, I'm like, oh my God. And once you get to the other side, it doesn't become easier, but we see the bully. I don't know sometimes if you get this now that we're not the bully.
Yeah.
People sometimes try to bully me.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, please, bitch. Like, you do not know what you're playing with. But isn't that interesting? Because when I was the bully, no one ever tried to bully me. But now that I'm not the bully, people try.
Yeah.
Do you have that too?
Yeah. Well, or they try to manipulate, or they say stuff, and I'm like, girl, like,
Yeah.
I wore this fucking crown.
Right?
Yeah, like I am in charge of the island of this, like, in the space of it all. And I'm like, and sometimes you let it slide because you just are like, okay, like, they're not going to accept what I have to say. They're playing in their own, because intuition tells us, like, and we strongly connect in that. But it's like, sometimes it's like they need to be called out, where you're just like, are you really going to play that storyline out? Is this where we're going to go, in the space of it all? And I wish, like, and I don't even know if I would have been accepting of it then. I probably would have, just like you said, scurried around, made excuses, done all the things. Because I can look back at some of the times in my life where I'm like, yeah, you had an excuse for everything. And it was like, ooh, yeah, if somebody would have said this to me, would you have received? I probably couldn't have received it until years later, where then I would have been like, fuck, they were right. Because we're floating in our stories and we believe them and we actually think that they're true, right? We think that we're whatever we think, and we're playing out triggers in the world, and we're behind the hurt, and we're behind the I'm not enough and the unworthiness when we're taking these actions. Because like, go ahead. Go for it.
No, I completely agree with you. And my response that I found is so good for bullies coming at me is, not all the time do I say this, but sometimes I always say, was that meant to be so disrespectful?
Oh.
And like, they're like, because like, I'll call you out. I know you can call someone out too. You don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the one thing I struggle with too is people who knew me back then and maybe wrote me off. I have to, there is some type of like initiation now. Like, I am no longer that person. Like, let's meet again. Let's try this again. I don't know if you struggle with that too, because once labeled a bully, you're kind of always a bully.
Yeah. Or like the challenge I had was when I had a really rooted ex-boyfriend and we dated 15 years ago, solid for 4 years, fucked around for like 6 years after that, and weaved in each other's world. And it was in March of 2023 that I went back to Canada and I was hanging out with him and he was yelling at me. He's like, you're a fucking phony. Look at you. Like, why are you showing this on social media? Because I started owning my sexuality in my brand and all the things that we're moving through. And he's like, you're fucking da 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 da. And he like went off on me. And I was like, he was one of the guys that I manipulated when we were together to get what I wanted because I was so like unsure of myself. And I was pretending to be what he wanted me to be and all the things that I thought I had to become, even though all he really wanted was me to be myself and to own all that. But I was like, I couldn't understand that at the time. And so he's yelling at me in this scenario, and I'm asking myself, is this my truth? And my body and spirit's like, no. And I'm like, okay. So just let him. I'm like, do you have anything else you want to say? Get it all fuck out, like, why not? And then after he was done, I said to him, look, I can respect that you're looking at me from a viewpoint of who I used to be in this relationship, but that person was actually not who I am. And I am more who I am today than I ever have been before. And it's almost like when you change and shift too, like you say it from the bully perspective of them seeing you that way, but they also see you in all the guises, in all the ways that you showed up. And like, because I was conforming and being something in that relationship, he couldn't understand that I was actually being myself now. And we haven't talked in over, like, we were solid for a long time. And it's been over a year and a bit now. We haven't talked and we just can't. Like,
Yeah.
we can't, like, we can't. And I'm okay
Yep.
with
Like
that
it's been
because,
severed. Yep.
yeah, it's gone. And it's sad sometimes that key relationships in our life are like that. But if they're built on foundations like of not truth or inauthenticity, it's like, and the people aren't willing to come together in their authenticity now, it's like they can't be met, you know? Yeah.
I completely agree. But I'm so grateful that we have, as humans, the ability to rewrite any story.
Yes.
Like it doesn't matter what story it is, you can rewrite it, and it takes time and it takes perseverance. But if you're committed to it, I mean, there's just it's like another door opens, then another door opens. It's like just like this rolling, beautiful evolution. Um, that has a lot of tears and a lot of heartache, but so much growth in it. And I would love if the whole world was able to do that. Like how much better we would all be as a collective.
Oh, I so agree with you. And it's like we keep hoping and we keep so lighting the light. And as we step into the light and as we continue on our own pathway, it's like I just hope that whoever needs that light today can grab it, can be with it, can move with it. I call it like the light wagon. So like you get into your car and you're not just in your car driving to work and you're not just in your car, like you're lighting stuff up if you choose to, whether that's drive-throughs or grocery stores or your clients or wherever. But most of us are just so contained in our world that if we start to open things up this way, life would change for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand the depth of the scariness. And I love the wagon idea that you just said. Like, have you ever been like just driving and it's nighttime and a street light above you flickers?
Yes.
And like that just like connects me to the light too. I'm like, oh, like thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
Oh, I just love it. It like, yes, everyone is able to receive light as long as they're open to receiving it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you created a movement in the world. You've started something over the last few years, probably, in the space. It's been a few years, right? Was it last year that you first launched your event or?
Yeah, last year was the first year.
Okay. So it's been a year-ish in the
Yep.
space of this movement in life. And like talk to us, because it's not just me, the listeners as well. Talk to us about what this is, why did you create it, what it represents and means, and what are you in it for? Because I want to hear about this aspect to your life.
Absolutely. And thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I felt, I don't know if it called is, I feel like that's overused, but I felt like there was a space needed specifically for women to just be a collective and be a community and all grow together. And just with the support of me, with the support of other members. And we are a goal-based, planning-based coaching group. I show up every week and we do a call. Um, we plan our weeks out together. We plan our quarters out together. And then annually I do an event. And this next one is coming up in March 1 in Wisconsin. And we just all we all meet together. People of the coaching group and outside the coaching group. And I just bring together women all across the country, for presenters or business owners. They talk about relationships, the body, the mind, and we just commune. And it's beautiful and it's comfortable and it's inviting. We don't do any of like the dancing, singing bullshit. Like we are just there to be together, to grow, and just to be really transparent, because I provide this very safe space.
Yeah.
And it's just an opportunity to just meet local women too.
Yeah. And I love that. So I know that there's a call out right now in the world for communities coming together. And we desire to have that connection where a lot of us, I don't know if this is your storyline too. I used to play Lone Ranger all the time. You know, I'd be like the lone wolf and I'd be whatever doing my thing. And over the last few years, it's like community and connection are really pertinent in this evolution that we're having in the space of all of this. And I love that you created this. So it's very tactile. Is that correct to say?
Yes.
Hands-on, tactile, like you're looking at life, you're like deciding what you want, and you're creating goals and execution around it.
100% on a weekly basis.
Yeah, cool. I love this because sometimes we get off track, right?
Same, girl.
Yeah.
Same.
Seriously, it was really funny. I was coming up here with my computer because I sometimes take it. So this is upstairs.
Okay.
I usually work downstairs a lot of the time because the dogs, anyways, can't come up here very often because the cat, this like play still. We're still trying to integrate the cat with these dogs. It's a little bit crazy. So I literally grabbed my computer to come up here and I see my day planner that I haven't opened in like a week that's on the table. And I was just like, we'll get back into that. You know, like I looked at it and I went, I promise I will be better, you know, like, because I fall off of documenting things often. Now, I've got other stuff that I hold measurables to, like I have certain key things I do in the business every day. I've got an app for my workouts because I don't do any of that anymore. I have a trainer, like Mo's training me. So I just log in and literally show up at the gym. I know. And I'm the worst. So this is really funny. So I'm the worst type of person to be training with because I call him, like I'll send him a voice note later. I'll be like, what the fuck was that? Okay, like seriously. I'm like, and then I was like, he had me riding the bike for an hour one day and that's all I did. I was like, this is the most boring fucking thing ever. And he's like, are you working on the bike? I'm like, yeah, I am. But I'm sitting on this fucking bike and it's been an hour on the bike and I'm not moved from the fucking bike. This isn't what I want. Okay. So can you change some shit up for me? You know? In this
Awesome. Mo, change some shit up for her.
Yeah, change some shit up for me. But no, so I said to him, I'm just ball busting you. Okay. So like if you just tell me this is what you want me to do, I'll suck it up and do it. But I just don't want you I want you to know that I also do not appreciate doing 100 fucking burpees in my workout. Okay. So just make sure we're on the same fucking page. You know?
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
This. Yeah. So I fall off of systems and I own that all the time. Like I own that. But it's like I understand the value of them and I understand the accountability around this and why you meet weekly and why you show up that way so that I would be like, shit, I haven't touched my fucking day planner in a week. And I got to get on a call with Rachel. She's going to be like, what have you done this week? I'll be like, well, you know,
I haven't done shit.
You know, but I did, you know, have the highest week in business and I did get this and I could just landed a new client, you know, like that. When it's like,
yeah, no, girl, I fall off too. I mean, we all do, but like it feels so good to get back on. It's almost like a clean kitchen. Like anytime you want a clean kitchen, I want to make something then. Yeah. And I wanted to touch on too what you said about creating community and how you used to be like the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
100%, because when you said that, all I thought was old Rachel would never been able to do this. You would have intimidated me because I would have felt less than.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it's just like when you just elevate, you can make these like beautiful connections.
Yeah.
And yeah, I things that are done alone, I understand the reason for it and we all do them. Yeah. But when you have a community and you have people backing you and working with you and you have smarter people than you in the room, that's where the magic happens.
Huge. And I love when we got to meet in person in December at LDL, so Lions Den Live. And it was like, I felt the room and I was like, I like being in this room. Like how many people in here are
Fuck yeah.
multi-millionaires and billionaires. And I'm up here sitting in my chair, fucking witnessing what's about to transpire and being like, and part of the people looked to us because we were sitting in the VIP section. So, and we were both on stage and you did a talk and I was on stage too. And it's like, oh, like we actually kind of fit in this room, even though we may not be
Yep.
where they are, but we've got different kinds of assets and we're moving. And it's just like, how can I keep up leveling? And I think that's what it really is. Like we all have this drive inside of us. Some of you may not want to speak. Some of you may want to be the background players and all the stuff. You don't have to be anything that you don't desire to be, but there's part of us that's being called forward to release, let's say, these emotions or these personality traits that no longer serve us, or the habits that we move through to be able to get through, to come into this new level space, to be open to new things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, I just recently got my birth chart read and I'm an Aquarius. So I was like, it's the Aquarius time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am ready. So I 100% agree. It's so easy to feel intimidated in rooms that are bigger than you.
Yeah.
But like once you get like settled in and you get your drink and a little snack and like you're good to go, you're like, oh, like I do fit. And that's, I think, the beauty of spaces like the Lions Den. And honestly, I'm trying to replicate that with just, women in my coaching group. And the magic is it's like a gigantic ocean and you don't know the levels until you start going deeper.
Yeah.
And you don't know that the person next to you might be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Like you don't know the person to your right, maybe just lost their spouse and they're grieving.
Yeah.
Like it's all of these connections, and there's nothing worse than when people are in groups and all they do is become a voyeur and all they do is watch.
Yeah.
When they could just be like swimming in it.
Yeah.
Like, because that's where all of it happens. So I completely agree. I am so grateful for the spaces that we share together in Lions Den Live, in the Lions Den. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it's really fun because Sean came in as an intuitive hit. Like you said, you saw one video of his. I'd been following him for a few years just because he was just so expressive, we'll call it, in the space of everything. And then literally I woke up one day and it was like, it's time to join the den. And I was like, all right. I literally went to the website and joined the den that day. And I didn't know what the den even was. Like do we do weekly calls? Is this pre-recorded? Like I don't even know what the fuck this is, but I like, it's not like there's details on the landing page that way. It was just, and I didn't even read the landing page. I literally went to buy, sign up. And then I was like, so what do I do in this thing? Like, what is this all about even, And it was like, that was almost 2 years ago. And I know you've been in the den a longer time than I have, but it's just so interesting how when we are calling out into the world something, growth, change, movement, whatever it is, like God responds, the universe responds, but our job is to pay attention because most of us are not, so when God gives a hit, it's like you take the movement, you say yes, you step up into the space, you move it forward. So yeah,
you've got to be listening. Absolutely. And that's another thing. I know we could talk with the Lions Den forever because it's just a space like no other, but I love how you said, like, there's no direction when you get into the Lions Den. Like you need to figure it out.
Yeah.
It teaches you independence. It teaches you to ask questions. It teaches you connection. And there's so many things that I think when I'm like in the world here, not the Lions Den, where people like will ask questions or they'll assume discounts or they'll assume this. And I'm thinking, my goodness, like where is your integrity as a human being?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that because the Lions Den teaches us that. The Lions Den teaches us how just to do shit and to figure it out. And I'm just obsessed with that part of it.
Yeah, no, so am I. Absolutely. I want to bring us back to your past for a bit because I think there's a lot of people in life right now desiring to make changes. Okay, they want to. There's part of them that is like, it would be amazing if, but there's like a rock solid energy missing in the space of them saying yes to something. So I don't know, like about you, but when I make a decision, the decision's done. So most people don't know, I had a stint back when I was 19 with cocaine. And most of the time, my friends didn't want me around cocaine because they knew I had a very addictive personality. And so they never told me they were doing cocaine. Now, if you've never done cocaine or you haven't been around people that have done cocaine, it's hard to tell when someone's on cocaine. Like, you just don't know. They could keep it a secret because there's like a naivety inside of the space. But one day, Colleen tried cocaine. And for 6 months, it was kind of like this journey, we'll call it. Like, literally, I was high teaching aerobics at 5 o'clock in the morning because I just come off of a night of drinking. And I literally had done a rail at like 4:30 in the morning to go teach because I was scared I'd come down in the middle of aerobics class while I was teaching it and I wouldn't be able to sustain the class. And every single time I did this at 5:30 in the morning, people would be like, that was the fucking hardest class at 5:30 in the morning. Because imagine an instructor high on cocaine trying to teach aerobics on a fucking step. Yeah, it was like intense. Okay, so I'll put it that way.
Okay.
But one day I just said, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I just closed the door and I walked away. Now, not everybody has the ability, and I feel like you have some of that edge as well, where you're like, I'm done with whatever, smoking or drinking or the drug use as well, that I feel like came through your field somewhere along the line too. And it's like, but what would you say? So you made a decision somewhere in your life to stop, let's say smoking, even to stop smoking. What was that transition like for you? How did you really move through it? And I'm sure every once in a while, the thought crosses your mind still somewhere, maybe along the way, or maybe not. But I'd love to just hear more of this depthful experience. Yeah.
Every single day I think of smoking.
Okay.
No matter what.
Yeah.
If there is someone, like, say I'm just like walking down the sidewalk and there's someone smoking in front of me,
yeah,
I will purposely step behind them so their smoke hits my face.
Wow.
So I am still an addict through and through.
Yeah.
I will probably be an addict until the day I die because that's how much I love smoking. Like, I genuinely love it. But I hated not being able to go upstairs. I hated the way my skin was aging. I knew it was killing me. Like, we're not stupid, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I know this is just one example of making a choice, but I want to be very clear that you can apply what I'm about to say to anything.
Yeah.
I love myself so fucking aggressively that I will make the change no matter what, if that is what I feel.
Yeah.
And if we all just loved ourselves so aggressively, like the way maybe your mom loves you or your brother loves you or your husband loves you, and then you times that by 10, because I'm selfish as hell. I come first.
Yeah.
And I know, girl, you come first too. You know, but if we just loved ourselves enough to get the weight off, to go to the gym, to show up for ourselves, to say yes, to tell people to get out of our space, it would just be this journey of fast evolution. And that's what everyone's seeking. Like, everyone wants this magical pill, and it doesn't exist. So instead of having a pill, let's just love ourselves harder and more aggressively. And that's our magical pill. And like, and the evolution will begin. Like, we just need to make a choice. And there's nothing worse than, like, I hate like quoters. So like these philosophers and these people that have made these one-liners. There's nothing worse than coaches saying one-liners that aren't theirs.
Yeah.
So like, I think there's so much power and fire and fierceness in just being an authentic person and showing up with love and integrity, and then just shining that everywhere.
I agree.
And I just wish more people were like that. Like, why wouldn't you want that? That's my question. And it drives me mad. Like, why wouldn't you want better? Why wouldn't you want more money? Like, I always tell people, like, I want to make money when I sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I want to wake up to a beautiful life, but this all takes work, and this all takes dedication and sacrifice. And like, if you want it, man, like, go fucking get it.
Yeah. I'd love to just chat into the sacrifice, because I've been working in this energy over the while, and I don't know if it actually takes sacrifice. I think it actually takes an unwavering commitment to self, that we sacrifice the shit that actually isn't important. You know, like, and then that moves out, and then it's not actually a sacrifice. It's us like rebirthing or releasing the stuff that actually isn't serving us in the space of it all. But
yeah, I completely agree. We
yeah.
think like, say like giving up scrolling, like that's a sacrifice. Like, no, it's not. It's wasted time.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
all do it.
You know, or like,
I completely agree though. Like
yeah.
we think that, you know, we're sacrificing and giving up.
Yeah.
But in all reality, we're giving it up just for like a little bit to have, you know, this entire beautiful like cake full of frosting and sprinkles. I always base everything to food. Like I am a fat girl inside in my soul.
Or like salt and vinegar chips for those of us that like salty.
Vinegar chips. I even love the pickled chips. Do you like the pickled chips?
I love dill pickle chips, and they do not have them in this country. And
Oh,
I went to the grocery store yesterday and I was like, I need some salt and vinegar chips, and they do not have any. They didn't have any. And I was like, what is happening in this country right now? Like, why is salt and vinegar chips not here? You know, and I was like, apparently I'm not eating chips today, but I will go over here and get my like plantain chips that I love, that are technically like bananas-ish, that are just like mushed together. Anyway, it's the whole other thing.
sounds delicious.
Fine, I'll sacrifice myself for this, you know, like in the face of it all, I'll give it up. But I so agree with you. I think that we play this game, and I call the game of life. We play this game and we think that we have to be this in order to play the game, when we're being asked to step up, all of us, in the beauty of this messy disaster, and take ownership of the pathway, and take ownership and spread the light and move it through, and give up the shit that actually doesn't serve us, even though we thought it might have, or we think it might, or whatever. It serves other versions of us that we're no longer in the space of, and really claiming this movement in our world, and whatever that means for all of us. It's all different, but yeah.
Absolutely. And I think people too forget, like, let's just say maybe someone's not very successful in their business right now, or they're maybe a little bit overweight, or maybe their relationship is struggling. They still have light to give. Like we all have it, and we don't need to be billionaires and then that be the permission for the light. Like there's never permission needed. Like we can just shoot it out. And that's just like, I'd like to remind people of that, because we're all at different stages in this whole thing. And we all have something to give. Like we all have the abundance to feed one another.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. And like, if we look around us at nature, whether it's snow, abundance of snow, or it's abundance of green leaves, you know, nature shows us every single day abundance all over. Like you could have an abundance of ants in your house, and you see it as like your, you know, it's a thing in your fields. And I look at ants in my house and I go, okay, I honor that you guys are here, and I get that you guys are on mission right now and you're trying to figure out some stuff, but let's get you outside and you can be on mission out in the grass instead of in my kitchen. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And like, you know, but it's like, if we look at life around us, everything is abundant. Everything is abundant. We're just choosing to see life through a certain lens. Just like when we chose to stop drugs, to stop smoking, to stop drinking, we made a choice because something in us was like, that's over for you, or that story's done, or you really want your health to be in alignment and you don't want your skin to look like shit, then you need to stop this. And it's like, it comes through all of us, but some of us are so hesitant to make the shifts and changes because of this, like you said, this lack of self-love, of like, I like undeniable, I'm fucking all in, I'll say the shit, I'll create the boundaries, I'll do the work, I'll do the stuff. And we waver as humans. And I'm sure you've seen it just in the work you're doing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I struggle because I want to shake someone and be like, I see so much in you. Like, please begin to see it. Like, please begin to receive it. And that's just where the work really starts.
Yeah.
And I know we all struggle in our daily tasks at, you know, some point. But like, I think there's so much power in doing those daily things that people are like, oh my God, I lost 2 pounds last week, or I was able to connect with my partner better this week. And just those little bites Oh, it's just magic. I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's always in the small movements. Like I don't even remember how many years ago I read a book called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And literally he talks about it's all the small movements adding up. So it's either they're taking us towards what we want or they're taking us away from what we want. And we don't see the gap happening in real time because it's the small movements every day that are opening and opening and opening and opening and opening. So yeah, it's
Yep,
powerful,
absolutely.
a powerful thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, I just completely agree with you. It's those little tasks that we're like, oh, we can do that tomorrow. We can do that tomorrow. Like, I got to call my website girl to add this. Like, what if we just did that now?
Yeah.
Like, you just pause and you make that quick phone call, or you pay that quick bill, you make that connection. Because there's nothing worse than procrastination, because then you're always treading water, and then you begin to drown, and then you just can't get up, and then you can't move forward. You're in the same spot.
Yeah. It's so true. And I I'm just like channeling at the same time and I'm like asking questions to make sure I'm coming from a place of truth. And I'm like, it's like that's kind of how, in case you're like, what the fuck is she doing over there? Sorry, this is me and my MO. I in real time do this work too. And I'm like, can I say that? Is that actually true? Like I check
Yep.
myself all the time because in the past I have done some crazy shit that it wasn't of truth. And now I'm like, I need the beacon there. I need to test myself to make sure, am I speaking truth? Am I coming from a place of vocal integrity when I say this out loud? But I've learned how to do this because I used to be that person too that would push everything off and be, I'll get to that later. I'll get to that later. Now Monday is today, even though it's Wednesday. It's like,
Yep.
it's like, I'll wait till Monday. It's like, no, like Monday's today. Let's fucking go. And
Yep.
it's like, if we can learn this and start to really, really learn this, meaning because most of us have to unlearn all the shit that we've learned. So learning this, it will change the game for you energetically and in your pursuit.
Yeah, it's all in the power of just starting.
Yeah. I love that.
Just fucking start. And then things will evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. Things will evolve. I feel like I just want to give you the baton, the microphone,
Oh,
to just kind of go wherever you feel like called to go. Like what we've talked about a bunch of different stuff today. We've moved through some energy, and I feel like there's like a beautiful way to kind of close this episode that will come through you. Like what's on your mind, what's on your heart to kind of share and just throw it out into the world. I want to see where you take
yeah.
this.
I think community was really big on my heart this
Yeah.
morning. And whether it's like just in your little city or it's in your work community or coaching community, whatever it is, if we all just were more perceptive of the needs that our community needs and we filled those needs coming from a genuine place, all of this abundance will just come pouring back to us in ways that we probably never imagined.
Mm.
And once you start to build a community or fill the gaps in your community, that's when all this like crazy connection happens.
Yes.
And it's like sparks of light just like coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, like the whole freaking place is illuminated.
Yeah.
Just because you are filling gaps, you are connecting, you are doing these things. And that doesn't make us workhorses. That doesn't make us people who are just consistently moving and consistently doing. I just think it's free flowing energy.
Mm.
And like it doesn't end. We all know energy doesn't like stop.
Yeah.
So like what if you just got that going, like just like on a treadmill and you just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing too that was on my mind this morning was this crazy idea about motivation.
Ah.
Like, there's not, okay, I love a good motivational video, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, but then like that shit goes away within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So instead of having these like, oh, like just grit your teeth and get through your shit kind of motivation, what if we just always had this free flowing energy that offers accommodation for others and for ourselves and for abundance, and instead of motivation it's just energy.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So those are the biggest two things on my mind. So if I could tell anyone anything, is create and see how you can fulfill the needs of your community, whether it be work or in your direct, like, cities, villages. Even just, I'm obsessed with books, and we didn't have a free little library in our town. So I created one. Like, it's just little things where people are like, thank you. Like, you are just creating goodness.
Yeah. And it's like, so I tell this story often, and I think I even did it on the last podcast that I just did about my neighbor, and how my neighbors are ticas, meaning they are native to Costa Rican land. So their house is a tica house. And for anybody that knows that term, it doesn't have air conditioners. Some of it doesn't even have a roof. They live and be without materialistic stuff that we have in North America. Like, the house I live in is bougie. Okay. It's a brand new build. It is not Costa Rican house. Okay. This is gringo. Okay. Let's just call it that. That's what, that's what they call us that come to here that are tourists. And every day I walk by their house and I say hola to them, and they do not talk to me ever. They have scowls, like they frown at me. They're like, we're not dealing with this white chick over here. Okay. So, and I kept shining my light every day. I kept shining my light. I just kept saying hi anyways, no matter what. One day they thought my dogs ate their rooster. That was a whole other fucking thing. My dogs didn't eat any roosters. Okay. They weren't out of the yard at any point in time. Because I'd probably lose them, and they would run away somewhere, and then I'd be like, whatever. And so now they were like holding all this crazy energy at me. But one morning, about a month and a half ago, my market order came here early, and I was at the gym still. So they left everything with the neighbor. So I had to go to their house to get the stuff. And now all of a sudden, they started smiling at me. They talked to me. Every time I walk by, and I'm just like, for like 6 months, I was in it. And I was like in it. And I don't know what changed with that. Maybe they felt that they did something for me, and now we're like kind of here. But I want to buy them. Like, I need to find out what is like a really good thing because like, you buy them shit that you think that they want as a gringo. They don't need that shit, right? They like, what do you bring like a tika family? And I think it's like baked goods. So I want to buy them like a basket of stuff and be like, here's un regalo por tu familia, like for your family, a gift for your family. Because I just feel like if I don't have to fight that energy and we can cohesively be together, then we're together, whatever that means. So like, when you bring up this community thing and in your community and stuff, it's like everywhere we go, we get to imprint, and we get to be, and we get to connect. And sometimes it's going to be hard. Most people would have probably stopped fucking saying hi to them at week two even, right? Like, after like 2 days, you're like, fuck that shit. Like, that bitch is not going to say hi back to me. So I'm not saying hi to her. But every day I kept on it, and I just kept on it. And I don't know. Like, I'm like, but what if? And now I walk down the street and people know me, and the neighbors know me, and I talk Spanish to the families down the road that I walk with the dog, and people honk at me when I'm walking over the bridge. And like, just, that's what life is meant to be. And Rachel, before I moved here, I had this vision that that's what would happen. And then I forgot it. And now I can go to the market and people know my name at the market. I'm like, wait a minute. That's what I envisioned when I moved here, that I wanted to move to a town that was tight, that, like the community knew who you were, and then the community comes together. So if something were to ever happen, I could make a call, and my landscaper would be here. The guy that at the front that does handyman work for my house, they're like 2 seconds away, and I could make a call and they would be here, and it's like, okay, this is interesting, and how
it's beautiful. It is, because as like a retired bully, you probably would have been like, I can't have that life.
Yeah.
And here you are having that life as a retired bully and as this new being that has shed all this shit.
Right.
That's amazing.
It's so fun though to actually be in this. And if anyone can take anything from this conversation, from us being retired bullies, it's like, we all have our story. We've all done shit in the world. When I was 15, I got caught shoplifting, and I wanted all these fucking lacy bras and underwear, and I just kept shoving them in my coat. And then I'd go home and I'd has stolen them all. And the next day I wanted more. And it was like, how many fucking bras do you actually need? And then one day I got caught, and that changed sort of the game for me. I still was a rebel in the space of it all. But it was like, I have a past, just like you have a past, just like all of us do. But we're learning from that past to shift and change the things that we want in life. And now life is different. And if someone were to ask me, were you ever a bully, and did you ever manipulate people, and did you ever steal shit? Yeah, I did.
Yep.
And am I proud of it over here on my fucking podium? No. But I'm clearing out the fucking karmic debt. Okay. One piece at a time, and now it's like life is getting easier. And I have a coach and a mentor that I work with one-to-one. And she says to me, okay, here's the next level of integrity. I'm like, fuck, that hit. And I'm like, shit, and now we're in the next phase, and here we go, and it's like, but that's the journey. That's the journey. So
Absolutely. It really is. And as being retired bullies, there's a grit that it taught us.
yeah.
Like we're kind of and I don't want to speak for you, but I'm sure you probably feel the same. Like we're almost like animalistic. Like I will claw my way out of fucking anything because that's how I lived for so many years.
Right.
And you could throw me in anything and I will get out alive.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm bringing you with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, my girlfriend said, so if the apocalypse happens, she goes, you're my number 2. Like, you better be at my fucking house if shit goes down. And I'm like, I'm your number 2. Like, her son is the number 1 because he could build fires and he's really resourceful and shit. I'm like, we need that asset, right? I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah, bring him.
But she says to me, you'd figure it out. Like, I would step in to be like, what do we fucking need? We need food. I'm going to go find it. And I'll figure out how to hunt the iguana, and I'll figure out how to fish without a fucking net in the freaking river. Like, I would figure it out. I just would. And maybe it's because of my soul that brought down all these assets, or maybe it's because of the life I lived, or maybe it's because I just choose to.
Yeah. I
just choose to. And I don't fucking know half the shit around here. I don't know how to turn that tree into medicinal fucking, like things. Like, I'm just like, but I would be like, can we eat this? Somebody try this and tell me if we can eat it.
Right, you try it first. Let me know how it is.
But it would be a beautiful place to be stuck in an apocalypse because there's so much massive fruit trees here that you could live off the land. It would serve you and it would be amazing, but it would obviously, I'm not creating that, nor am I manifesting,
right.
But I would be okay. I would be okay.
Yep.
I'd figure it out, and it's just like, if we could leave maybe everyone with that thought of like, you can figure it out too. If Rachel and I can do it, yeah.
Anything. You guys got it.
Yeah. You can figure it out too. So we're going to have Instagram links for you. We won't have a bio, guys, because Rachel is anti-bio. Yeah. So if you want to get connected with her, we'll put the link up too for the event. If you're like, yeah, I kind of want to do that. Or I know last year you had a virtual option if people couldn't make it. Are you going to do the same thing this year?
I am not. It was just too much.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to, I was so big and now I'm like, no, I want to bring it back in.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to show up. That's
you got to get on that flight. You got to get to Wisconsin. It'll be almost spring. It won't be too chilly.
She's saying that to me. She's trying to convince me to come, in the space of it all. So if you feel inclined, you have questions about stuff, or you want to know about Rachel's community, like feel free to send her a DM, reach out to her, ask her questions. If something really resonated with her story for you today and you like felt really like called, just chat with her. She's cool. She'll be straight up.
Heck
though.
Yeah, reach out.
Reach out. Anything else you want to say to the humanity listening to this podcast on their ears?
That you are loved, you are light, and just keep going. Like, keep adding gasoline to your tank. You can find a way.
Yeah.
Just keep going forward.
Yeah, I agree. Keep moving through. I always say, like, if you're in hell, don't fucking stop.
No, God, no.
Don't stop.
Keep going. You will get to the light.
Yeah, like fucking just keep moving through. And we all have these moments. So yeah, just keep going. I love this. Rachel, so grateful to have you here.
It was so fun. Thank you.
It was so fun. And for all of you guys listening, if someone in your life could benefit from this episode, like I always say, share it out, spread the word. We're not in this movement alone. We're all in it together. So you sharing it out helps assist other people too. And the more people that get this in their hands, the more people could change. or could be lit up, or could, be activated through their rebellion like we are.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I love you guys. And Rachel, thanks again.